Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness and mourn the passing of Carrie Ann Aldridge's youth. Youth is a fickle thing, as is its master, old Father Time, who guides and coaxes us all down the path into the inevitable chasm of oblivion that is our destiny. With the gaining of years, once pert and taut buttocks, testicles and breasticles begin their downward journeys to become trip hazards, belly button warmers and built-in cushions. For those of you with a sun-kissed, tanned nature, you may take on the appearance of a shriveled raisin, your skin looking more like an aged leather handbag or something that has been dug up in the tombs of the ancient pharaohs. Some of us may take on the look of a slowly melting candle, our skin becoming slack and droopy as its useful elasticity leaves us, along with our faculties and the memories of better days. We may kiss goodbye to glorious barnets as locks recede and make way for shiny domes of age and experience. For the ladies, the compulsory Deirdre Barlow from Coronation Street haircut may be implemented around the mid-50s to show solidarity with the TV programmes that we live vicariously through because we are too tired to go out and get bladdered on a school night anymore. The days of partying the weekend away and going to work on a Monday hangover, hanging out of our arses, are over. The hangover is no longer a minor inconvenience that youth can slap in the face and make its bitch, but an arch nemesis that can destroy you for days after a couple of shandies. It's at this point, while on the subject of alcohol, that we'd like to bring on Carrie's dearest friend, Dion, to share some fond memories of days gone by. Don't trip over the wire.
So conservative.
One, two. Not that I'm sure anyone actually is going to want to hear me anyway. Okay, so it's hard to know where to start since I've known Carrie since I was 17, and as we can see, I'm clearly not 17 anymore. So I thought I'd start from the beginning, so I'd get yourself comfortable and take a sip of your beer. I remember first seeing Carrie at the bus stop when I was on my way to college. Carrie had very normal brown hair, trousers that were too short for her long legs, with white socks and trainers. I remember this because as a goth with pink hair and dodgy eyebrows, I felt in a position to judge the socks and trainers. Sorry, Carrie, but they were pretty awful. I ended up meeting Carrie through a mutual friend at college, and we then began dating cousins. We spent a lot of time together from day one. I can remember one of the first nights drinking with Carrie in someone's beaten up shed. We decided that drinking a huge bottle of hock and vodka was a good idea. The night ended with Carrie stuck on the top of a huge fence and four of us trying to get her down. I knew at this point this girl was going to be my soulmate. It wasn't long before Carrie said goodbye to her white trainers, thank God, but also to her eyebrows. Carrie came over to the dark side and our eyebrows were united in their awkward, drawn-on, uneven gothness. Although, annoyingly, from this point on, Carrie did goth far better than I ever did. We've been to many gigs in our time. We've been guest listed and enjoyed evenings as VIPs, although one gig in particular this didn't really go to plan. I used to be a huge fan of Marilyn Manson. Don't judge me, it was a long time ago. Posters all over my walls, CDs on repeat, every t-shirt in my collection, you get the idea. Me and Carrie went to his gig in Brixton. We'd started a business altering clothes from charity shops and gothing them up. So Carrie was in our handmade clothes and I was dressed in a military uniform. I do have the photos of this in the house actually. Based on the theme of his album, I thought that was quite cool. In the queue, we had a lot of interest from photographers and it was all going really well until a woman approached me and said that I'd been requested as Marilyn Manson's personal guest at his table at the after party. I couldn't believe my luck. Great, I said. But what about my best friend? The woman abruptly said that only I could go backstage alone, and we all know why now. And if I didn't want to, that she would just ask someone else. She tried to snatch the pass out of my hand and I snatched it back, continuing to argue about the injustice of it all. In the end, I kept the pass but refused to leave Carrie. Where I went, so did my best friend, and I would never have left her. However, me being a great friend ended there that night, as I also couldn't speak to her the entire journey home on the train, giving strict instructions to both Carrie and my partner at the time not to talk to me. When a goth sulks, they really sulk. I'm pretty sure a black cloud loomed over my head the entire way home and I went full on goth diva. But our friendship had been cemented that night. I turned away Marilyn Manson for Carrie. There was no turning back. She owed me her life. A few years later, I went on to open a goth shop in Colchester, and Carrie was the manager. We spent weeks getting the shop ready. We must have looked quite the picture. Full faces of gothic makeup, huge heeled boots, and blue workman overalls. We worked long hours, drank way too much vodka from the Polish shop opposite, and had Bibles given to us daily, as well as letters posted through the shop door trying to save our souls. We had a lot of fun. We quickly adopted the phrase, "It's better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you are not," something that we still live by now. A few memories stand out during the time at the shop. One normal working day, me and Carrie were busy doing shop stuff, and suddenly a group of young goth girls came running in. The Murder Dolls were playing at the Arts Centre, and the band were walking around Colchester. The fangirls were desperate for a photo, and the Murder Dolls were heading for our shop. The Cure began singing, "Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name," from our stereo, just at the minute the band walked in the door. Me and Carrie, very flustered at this point, took one look at each other and helped put each other's tongues back in our mouth, trying to play it cool, whilst the Cure sang out our true feelings. The shop became full of fangirls following the band, and the band began buying things from our shop and talking to us. The band actually asked for photos to be taken with us by the group of the fans, and it was all a bit surreal. They put us on the guest list for that night, and the best part of owning the shop was the fact it was like a giant wardrobe when needed. We both chose the most expensive dresses, which we put the tags back on and hung back up. and we had a great night out watching the band in the clothes they'd brought from us. Magazines were taking photos of us and we were dressed up to the nines. The thing is, they then asked us to hang out with them after, but embarrassingly, the only lift home we could get that night was from my mum. So two goths in their 20s had to turn down the after party, dressed up in the most expensive dresses they could find, to be picked up by my mummy. Another time was when we agreed to do a photo shoot for Fair Trade chocolate. Now, I don't know which part of this was most strange. The fact that the photo shoot was in our clothes shop that didn't sell chocolate, the guy that doing it was extremely creepy, or that the photos were going to be displayed in the library. But we did it anyway, posing in the shop eating chocolate. I can imagine it was a bit of a shock for people looking at the display in the library to see two goth girls in PVC dresses slowly eating Fair Trade chocolate when they were only at the library to pick out the next Alan Titchmarsh novel. We used to do stalls at festivals for the shop, and one time we had gone to the Festival of Souls in Derbyshire. We'd spent all night working at the festival, with Carrie being chased around by a creepy photographer who just constantly seemed to pop up behind her, and my partner was being harassed by an overexcited drag queen. The next day we went hiking in Derbyshire in giant stack boots and mini skirts. We got quite the look and literally fell asleep at a table in an Indian restaurant. I'm talking face in the doll. It was very, very amusing to the waiters. We've stuck together through a lot, and at times our friendship's been strained. Like the time we arrived at a campsite very late after getting lost, trying to put the tents up in the dark. Carrie was getting very stressed. Now, Mike, you know what it means when she's like that. It's scary. I'm talking goth stressed. I could hear Distressed Angel singing in the background at this point to a chorus of thunder. I began unpacking some things, and just as Carrie turned to look at me, already full of rage, although with our eyebrows back then, we kind of always looked like that, I slammed down a bottle of washing up liquid on the table. The top came open, and in slow motion, some of the liquid came flying out the top and straight into Carrie's eye. There were bubbles of darkness from the eyeball that night and looks that could kill, but somehow our friendship survived after some really harsh words from Carrie. Another time I was on the phone to Carrie late at night. I was heavily pregnant at the time, and Carrie was talking to me about something really important to her. We're talking a really tense conversation, tears, snot, the whole lot. The type when you really need your best friend to be there for you. Which I was, well, until apparently Carrie was midway through pouring her heart out to me and heard nothing but me snoring really loudly down the phone. I'd fallen asleep during this important conversation, and I woke the next morning with the phone stuck to my face, expecting Carrie to still be there. But luckily, Carrie saw the funny side of it. We've been on many glamorous nights out, but we've also enjoyed drinking in fields to escape the rest of the world. One evening, we decided to go on a picnic. So there we were, drinking our wine, putting the worlds to right, and it began to pour with rain. The wine had kicked in at this point, and instead of leaving, we put up an umbrella, black of course, and sat gothed up under an umbrella in the pouring rain in the middle of a field drinking wine. We saw a dog walker approaching, and we laughed together about how strange we must look. But we were going through stuff, so screw everyone, we thought. Unfortunately, the dog must have felt the same, as it ran straight over to us, cocked its leg and peed all over us and the umbrella. I can't remember what happened after that, other than us squealing and swearing a lot and drinking a lot more wine. To be honest, I think we stayed in the field. Carrie is without a doubt my soulmate. We've said many times that without each other, we aren't sure that we would have made it through the tough times, and my God, have they been tough. But we certainly wouldn't have laughed as much either. Although without me, Carrie may not have shaved off her eyebrows, so whether our friendship's a good thing, I'm not that sure. We have lived together, worked together, travelled together and grown together. Carrie is also the best Auntie Carrie I could ask for my son Eden, and let's just hope he doesn't shave his eyebrows off too. So as we say goodbye to Carrie's youth, I want to raise a glass, which I forgot to bring, to better eyebrows, even better times ahead, and my best friend Carrie.
Better eyebrows.
God, you are short, aren't you? Thank you, Dion. That was lovely. So in the face of our own mortality, it is easy to despair as the countdown to our demise grows ever closer. But there are glorious wonders and great gifts that are bestowed upon us as we age. There are more frequent intimate liaisons with doctors' fingers in various orifices. Ladies get to experience the great joy of facial shaving and grooming. We have the luxury of looking at the younger generation being ruined on nights out and pretending that we never did that at their age. I didn't, but that's because I'm crap. And our skill at tutting increases 400-fold. But one of the greatest attributes we can learn, if we have played our cards right through the years, is growing into our own failing skin and realising what does and doesn't matter in this short time we inhabit this mortal coil. We start to realise what means the most to us in the world and no longer afraid to speak our minds and our real thoughts, rather than just going along with what we feel endears us to those around us. All in all, we gain wisdom, experience, enlightenment, broken bones, traumas, various pets, ear hair and sensible cars with good amounts of boot space. So as Carrie lays here in state saying goodbye to those bygone days, she is joined by those here today who will make the next stage of her life totally fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you haven't got glasses, just raise your hands. Raise your glasses to the next stage of Carrie's life.
Woo! Carrie's life! Woo!
That's a tune, good guy. The dead don't normally stand up.